All right, so this is Volumio. You can see I was listening to a little bit of Nine Inch Nails here, but I was just going to go ahead and show you a few of its features real quick. So if we go over here to System, click on that. So here's where we put in our language and our time zone. So for me, that's Los Angeles. Go down here, and you have your player names. So you can actually name it whatever you want. For me, I named it based on the parts that I used in the build, which makes it a lot easier to find when I go ahead and I look at it in the network settings for my router, and it shows me the active devices. So now we go down here and we can have a startup sound. It just basically plays a little chime when you first start up. Run first config wizard. I'm not going to do that since I'm already set up, but that's what you're going to be going through when you first go to setup. And then here's the check updates tool, which is really great because it lets you actually update in place. So when you click check updates, I don't have any available. I had some earlier today, but I went ahead and I performed the update. So no big deal. It's actually really nice. It goes through the update process all right here in the same window, and then it goes through and it reboots the Pi, and you're back here in a matter of a couple of minutes. Pretty nice. The rest is honestly nothing special. So let's go ahead and let's close this out. We'll go back over here, our little hamburger menu on the top left-hand side. And now we finish system. Go over here to network. So this lists the Wi-Fi if you're running on Wi-Fi, or the Ethernet if you actually have it jacked in. This is listing the networks around me. So that's how you'll be able to go ahead and find what you want to connect to when it comes to the networks. Now, here's the important one, is hotspot settings. So with hotspot settings, you want to make sure that that's enabled and that the fallback is enabled. You can change the name down here under hotspot name if you want to, but I would recommend just leaving it with whatever it says. So here's the reason why this is important. There is a Volumio app on both the Apple Store and the Google Play Store. You download that to your phone, and that lets you control everything remotely from your phone. And it's actually a really nice interface, super simple to use, really, really convenient. All right, let's go ahead and back out of here. We'll go over to sources. So if you have a NAS, like I do, you go over here to add new drive, and that's where you'll program in the path, the network path to your NAS, and that will then be directly accessible by Volumio after it finishes building up its library from your NAS. And there's different services you can use: Tidal, Qobuz, Hi-Res Audio. There's actually a plugin that you can utilize for Spotify as well. And then if you have access to AI, you have this feature called Super Search, which will search your music library based on descriptors that you give in the search bar. So you could say, I want moody music from the 80s, or you could say, I want bright music that reminds me of going to the beach. And it'll find that for you. As long as it's in your collection, it'll find it. And then lastly, we're going to go over here to playback options. Give that a second to go ahead and pull up. So this is where you're going to put in the information for your DAC. And here we have all the different settings that we want to use. So you'll probably want to actually look at the Volumio forums for some of this stuff, but it's actually not that hard. Audio buffer size, I bumped up from 2 megabytes up to 12 since I'm using a Raspberry Pi 4. And that makes things a little bit easier. It stores more in the RAM and it's able to access it much faster. And then I'm using a separate amplifier, so I have mixer type set to hardware. And default startup volume is disabled. Max volume level, of course, is 100. And volume curve is on natural instead of logarithmic or linear. And that's pretty much it as far as the controls go. So once you're through with that whole section, we go down here. We have this nifty little speaker looking icon. And you have the option to do things like play through your browser. If you don't have an amplifier to hook anything into, you can play it through your browser and be able to listen to your music just the same, which is honestly really great when you don't have time to hook everything up and get it set up. Being able to listen right through the browser on your computer is honestly just a really nifty little feature that I use relatively often. Grouping is when you have multiple Volumio units. So you can actually group those together, and then you can have one in one room, one in another room, and you just pick a song and you hit play, and it'll play through both of them in completely different areas of the house. Pretty awesome. Then you have a digital signal processor. It's got a few different presets, things you can do, mostly just EQ stuff. I have mine set to flat because that's where I think everything sounds best. Dialed in pretty well. And then when you go to this folder with the little magnifying glass on it, go ahead, click that. And that brings us to our music library. So once you load music onto a drive, doesn't matter if it's a USB drive or an M.2, whatever, that's where you'll go to find your music. You just scroll through, find what you want, and hit play. And then you're off to the races. That's it. All right, everybody. Well, I really, really hope that you enjoyed checking out my little intro to Volumio. And we'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.